My beloved soul, listen carefully. True love stories authored by God never have an ending. Hear this before anything else settles into your heart. What God begins in love cannot be erased by time, cannot be silenced by distance, cannot be buried by disappointment, because when heaven writes a love story, eternity signs its name at the bottom. My beloved soul, this message is not random, this moment is not accidental, you were led here on purpose. Before we go any further, respond in faith, type, "I receive this," in the comments as a prophetic agreement with what heaven is about to speak over you. Like this video as an act of alignment with divine timing. Subscribe to this channel so you do not miss the next word God has prepared for your spirit. Click the bell as a declaration that you are ready when heaven calls. And send a super thanks as a prophetic act of faith, not as promotion, but as a seed that says, "Lord, I trust that you are still writing my love story." Listen carefully, my beloved soul, because this is not entertainment, this is revelation. There are love stories written by emotion, there are connections built by convenience, there are relationships formed by loneliness, but true love stories authored by God never have an ending. They may have chapters of silence, seasons of separation, moments of confusion, but they never truly end, because what God ordains, He sustains. The enemy may try to close the book, people may try to tear the pages, your own fear may try to rewrite the narrative, but if God is the author, the ink cannot fade. The Bible says in Ecclesiastes 3 verse 11, He has made everything beautiful in its time. Not in your time, not in their time, but in His time. And if you are waiting, if you are wondering, if you are wiping tears in the quiet hours of the night, hear this, God has not forgotten you. Heaven is watching. Every prayer you whispered into your pillow, every time you said, "Lord, is this the one? Lord, am I too late? Lord, did I miss it?" Heaven heard you. My beloved soul, do not skip this moment, because something sacred is unfolding even now. You think the delay means denial, but sometimes the delay is divine editing. God removes what would have destroyed you, He refines what would have distracted you, He heals what would have sabotaged you. True love stories authored by God are not rushed, they are refined. They are not based on butterflies alone, they are built on covenant. They are not sustained by passion alone, they are guarded by purpose. You may have known heartbreak, you may have felt abandoned, you may have watched someone walk away while you stood there praying for them to stay, but if it ended, it was not the story God finished. It was a draft, not the destiny. Jeremiah 29 verse 11 declares, "For I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a future and a hope." That future includes love that reflects His heart. That hope includes a union that carries His presence. This is not a coincidence. You were led here on purpose. Listen carefully, because many give up in the middle of the story. They close their hearts because they think the pain was proof that love failed. But hear this clearly, pain is not proof that God has abandoned your love story. Sometimes pain is the proof that God is protecting the promise. My beloved soul, stay with me till the end, something powerful is waiting for you. There are moments when God allows silence between two hearts, not to separate them forever, but to prepare them individually. While you were crying, He was shaping you. While you were waiting, He was building endurance inside you. While you were questioning, He was strengthening your discernment. Isaiah 40 verse 31 says, "But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength." Waiting is not weakness. Waiting is worship. Waiting is trust. Waiting is the quiet declaration that says, "God, I believe you are writing something bigger than my impatience." True love stories authored by God do not collapse under pressure, they are purified by it. If the connection is from Him, it will survive misunderstanding. If the bond is ordained, it will outlive distance. If the promise is divine, it will rise again even after seasons of silence. My beloved soul, you must understand this: some endings are illusions. What looked like the final goodbye was only a pause. What felt like closure was only intermission. God is not bound by human timelines. He restores what seems impossible. Joel 2 verse 25 says, "I will restore to you the years that the locust has eaten." That includes wasted time. That includes wrong relationships. That includes seasons you thought disqualified you from real love. Heaven is watching. And God has not forgotten you. Do not leave yet, heaven has more to reveal. The reason this message pierces your spirit is because deep down, you know you were created for a love that mirrors God's faithfulness. You were not designed for temporary affection. You were not formed for halfway commitment. You were not called to chase what God never assigned. True love stories authored by God carry peace, even in uncertainty. They carry conviction, even in distance. They carry a thread that cannot be cut by misunderstanding. And if the person meant for you is still being prepared, then trust the process. God is more invested in your love story than you are. He cares about who holds your hand, because He cares about who influences your soul. He cares about who stands beside you in prayer. He cares about who speaks into your destiny. My beloved soul, if you remain till the end, the final word will change everything. Let me speak prophetically now. The tears you cried were not wasted. The nights you felt alone were not ignored. The prayers you thought were unanswered were not dismissed. God was working in silence. He was aligning hearts. He was closing doors you begged Him to open because He saw what you could not see. Proverbs 3 verse 5 says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding." Your understanding says, "It ended." God's wisdom says, "It is unfolding." Your fear says, "I missed my chance." God's promise says, "What is for you cannot miss you." True love stories authored by God never have an ending because they are rooted in eternity. Marriage is not just a contract, it is covenant. Love is not just emotion, it is divine reflection. When God joins two hearts, He does not experiment. He ordains. My beloved soul, do not scroll away from this sacred moment. What if the very thing you are praying for is closer than you think? What if the silence was only preparation? What if the separation was only sanctification? What if the ending you feared was actually the beginning of the real story God intended all along? I speak this gently but boldly: restoration is possible. Redemption is real. And divine love does not expire. Romans 8 verse 28 reminds us, "All things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are called according to His purpose." Even the heartbreak. Even the confusion. Even the waiting. All of it is being woven into something beautiful. My beloved soul, stay attentive, because heaven is shifting something in your favor. The reason you feel this stirring in your chest is because God is whispering, "I am not finished." The reason your hope refuses to die is because the author has not closed the book. True love stories authored by God never have an ending, they move from glory to glory. They deepen with time. They strengthen through storms. They reflect His faithfulness in every season. You were led here on purpose. This is not a coincidence. And as you sit with this word, as you breathe in this promise, know this: what God is writing for you cannot be erased by fear, cannot be delayed by doubt, cannot be destroyed by past mistakes. My beloved soul, something eternal is unfolding, and heaven is watching every step. My beloved soul, let the weight of that truth settle deeper into your spirit, because what God authors carries eternity in its foundation, and eternity does not expire. You have been measuring your story by months and years, but heaven measures by purpose and promise. Listen carefully, the love that is ordained for you was spoken before you ever learned how to pronounce the word love. Before your first heartbreak, before your first disappointment, before that night you questioned whether you were too broken to be chosen, God already saw the full picture. He saw the tears, he saw the detours, he saw the almosts, and still he declared that your story would reflect his glory. My beloved soul, do not let discouragement interrupt what heaven has already confirmed. Stay with me in this sacred unfolding, because what I am about to reveal will steady your heart. True love stories authored by God never have an ending because they are not sustained by human strength, they are sustained by divine covenant. When God breathes on a union, even the storms bow in reverence. Even time submits. Even distance must eventually surrender. You may not see movement, but movement is happening. You may not hear confirmation, but heaven is negotiating details you cannot comprehend. Angels are assigned to protect what God has promised. This is not fantasy, this is faith. Psalm 37 verse 23 says, "The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord." If your steps are ordered, then so are your encounters. If your steps are ordered, then so are your divine connections. Nothing about your journey has been random. Not the delay. Not the silence. Not even the separation. My beloved soul, do not skip this moment of revelation, because something is aligning even as you listen. The enemy tried to convince you that the chapter had closed forever. He whispered that you were forgotten. He planted the thought that maybe true love was for everyone else but not for you. But hear this clearly, God does not tease his children with promises he does not intend to fulfill. If he placed the desire for covenant in your heart, it is because he intends to satisfy it in his time. Waiting is not punishment, it is preparation. And preparation is proof that something significant is coming. You were not being rejected, you were being refined. You were not being abandoned, you were being aligned. True love stories authored by God pass through the fire, but they do not burn up. They come out purer, stronger, more anchored. My beloved soul, remain attentive, because heaven is still speaking. There are seasons where God hides the promise to protect it from premature exposure. Think of Joseph, hidden in prison before the palace. Think of David, anointed in secret before crowned in public. The delay did not cancel the destiny. It positioned it. In the same way, your love story may feel hidden, but hidden does not mean forgotten. Hidden means guarded. Hidden means sacred. Hidden means heaven is ensuring that when it manifests, it will not collapse under pressure. My beloved soul, stay until the end of this word, because the final revelation carries peace you have been longing for. You have been asking, Lord, why did it hurt so much if it was from you? And heaven answers gently, because growth often comes wrapped in discomfort. When God prepares two hearts, he sometimes allows distance so both can mature without leaning on each other as a crutch. He builds identity before he builds unity. He strengthens faith before he strengthens the bond. Because true love authored by God is not two incomplete people clinging to each other, it is two healed individuals choosing covenant under his authority. Hear this, you were being made whole, not left behind. You were being taught discernment, not denied affection. And what God is bringing will not feel like chaos, it will feel like confirmation. It will not stir anxiety, it will awaken peace. Colossians 3 verse 15 says, "Let the peace of God rule in your hearts." Peace is the umpire of divine love. If it robs you of peace, it is not from Him. But what He ordains carries quiet assurance, even when circumstances are loud. My beloved soul, do not leave yet, heaven has more to reveal. There is something sacred about the way your hope refuses to die. You tried to move on. You tried to convince yourself it was over. You tried to bury the longing. Yet somehow, something within you whispers, it is not finished. That whisper is not delusion. That whisper is divine intuition. God places holy persistence in what He intends to complete. But listen carefully, persistence must be surrendered to His will. You do not chase, you trust. You do not force, you pray. You do not manipulate, you rest. Because if it is written by God, it will unfold without you compromising your dignity. True love stories authored by God do not require you to beg for what heaven has already approved. They do not require you to shrink to be accepted. They do not demand that you silence your faith to keep someone comfortable. The love God writes honors Him first. And when two people honor God first, they cannot help but honor each other. My beloved soul, something is shifting even now. The weight you have been carrying was never meant to crush you. It was shaping your capacity. Capacity to love deeper. Capacity to forgive fully. Capacity to discern wisely. And when the right love stands before you, you will recognize it not by fireworks alone, but by fruit. Patience. Kindness. Faithfulness. Self-control. 1 Corinthians 13 declares that love never fails. That does not mean people do not fail. It means that the love rooted in God does not collapse. It endures. It believes. It hopes. It perseveres. If what you experienced failed, then understand, it was human attachment, not divine covenant. Because what God authors may bend under testing, but it will not break. My beloved soul, stay steady in this truth. Heaven is watching how you handle the waiting. Not to judge you, but to prepare you. The posture you hold in the silence determines the strength you carry in the fulfillment. If you choose bitterness, you delay your peace. If you choose trust, you accelerate your growth. Choose trust. Even when you do not understand. Even when your timeline feels threatened. Even when others around you are celebrating engagements and anniversaries while you are still praying. Comparison is the thief of contentment, but trust is the guardian of destiny. Your story is not late. It is layered. It is intentional. It is protected. My beloved soul, receive this with courage. The chapter you thought was over may yet be redeemed. And if not that chapter, then something greater awaits that will make you grateful for the closure. Because true love stories authored by God never have an ending, but sometimes they change characters to protect the plot. What matters is not who you imagined standing beside you, what matters is who God appoints. And when He appoints, no one can disqualify. Isaiah 55 verse 8 reminds us, "My thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, says the Lord." Trust that His ways are higher, not harsher. Trust that His timing is precise, not careless. My beloved soul, feel the peace rising now. Feel the anxiety loosening its grip. The author of your love story is faithful. He does not start what He does not finish. Philippians 1 verse 6 says, he who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion. Completion includes the love he promised. Completion includes the fulfillment of the prayers you whispered when no one else was listening. Completion includes joy replacing tears. Hear this final stirring for this moment: what you prayed for is closer than you think. The alignment is happening. The healing is maturing. The breakthrough is forming. Do not rush ahead of God. Do not retreat in fear. Stand still and watch what He will do. True love stories authored by God never have an ending because they are rooted in the everlasting nature of His heart. And His heart toward you has never changed. My beloved soul, rest in that certainty. The next chapter will not break you, it will bless you. The next season will not confuse you, it will confirm you. And when it unfolds, you will look back at this very moment and realize, heaven was writing all along. Peace is coming. Fulfillment is near. And the love ordained for you will testify that God never forgets what He promises. My beloved soul, let this next wave of revelation wash over every doubt that has tried to settle inside you, because what heaven is whispering now is deeper than reassurance, it is divine confirmation. True love stories authored by God never have an ending, because they originate from a God who Himself has no ending. He is Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, and when He writes love into your destiny, He writes it with eternal ink. Listen carefully, you have mistaken pauses for conclusions, you have mistaken silence for abandonment, you have mistaken delay for denial, but heaven calls those moments preparation. You were never forgotten. You were never overlooked. You were being positioned. My beloved soul, do not drift away from this sacred flow. Something within these words is unlocking a door you thought was permanently closed. The love that God authors is not fragile. It does not shatter under misunderstanding. It does not dissolve because of temporary distance. It may bend in the wind of circumstance, but it does not uproot. Why? Because it is planted in divine soil. And anything planted by God grows in ways human logic cannot fully comprehend. You have been looking for visible signs, but heaven has been working behind the veil. You have been measuring progress by text messages and conversations, but God measures by heart transformation and spiritual maturity. He cares less about timing your reunion and more about refining your readiness. My beloved soul, stay with me till the end, because the next truth will settle your spirit. There are some love stories that appear to end in the natural realm, yet they continue in the spiritual realm until the appointed time. What God joins in purpose cannot be permanently severed by fear. What God aligns in destiny cannot be erased by pride. But hear this clearly, divine love does not thrive in ego. It thrives in surrender. That is why God allowed you to experience the breaking. That is why He permitted the humbling. He was dismantling everything in you that would have destroyed the covenant later. He was teaching you patience where you once reacted. He was building discernment where you once ignored red flags. He was strengthening your faith where you once depended on feelings. My beloved soul, you were not losing, you were learning. And learning is preparation for lasting love. Psalm 66 verse 10 says, "For you, O God, tested us, you refined us like silver." Refining is not rejection. Refining is proof that something valuable is being prepared. Silver is heated to remove impurities. Gold is pressed to reveal its brilliance. In the same way, your heart was tested to remove insecurity, fear, and desperation. Because true love authored by God cannot be sustained by insecurity. It must be sustained by identity. You had to know who you were in Him before you could stand confidently beside the one He has chosen for you. My beloved soul, do not skip this moment of deep alignment. Something inside you is shifting from anxiety to assurance. The desperation is fading. The striving is softening. And in its place, a holy calm is rising. That calm is faith. That calm is trust. That calm is the quiet knowing that if God promised it, He will perform it. Numbers 23:19 declares, God is not a man that He should lie. If He spoke love over your future, it will not be withdrawn because of temporary confusion. Heaven is not confused about your destiny, even when you are. And here is what you must understand: sometimes God allows separation not to end the story, but to break unhealthy patterns. He separates to cleanse. He distances to discipline. He pauses to purify. Because when the reunion comes, it must not repeat the dysfunction of the past. True love stories authored by God do not circle endlessly in chaos. They evolve. They mature. They deepen. My beloved soul, remain attentive, because heaven is weaving something magnificent. You may not see the threads connecting right now, but God is stitching together conversations, circumstances, and confirmations. He is aligning hearts at the level of conviction, not just attraction. He is preparing conversations that will bring clarity. He is orchestrating moments that will dissolve misunderstanding. But you must trust the process. Trust is the bridge between promise and manifestation. Without trust, you will try to control what God intends to unfold naturally. And control will only delay what surrender would accelerate. My beloved soul, hear this with tenderness and authority: you are not too late. Your age does not disqualify you. Your past does not disqualify you. Your mistakes do not disqualify you. God specializes in redemption. He restores what others discard. He rebuilds what seemed ruined. Isaiah 61 verse 7 says, "Instead of your shame you shall have double honor." That includes honor in love. That includes dignity in covenant. That includes restoration where there was embarrassment. Do not allow shame to convince you that you are unworthy of the love God is preparing. Shame is not from Him. Conviction corrects, but shame condemns. And there is no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. My beloved soul, do not leave yet. Heaven is releasing a deeper assurance. The love that God writes carries divine protection. It will not require you to abandon your calling. It will not force you to shrink your dreams. It will not ask you to compromise your faith. Instead, it will amplify your purpose. It will sharpen your vision. It will strengthen your walk with God. Because when two people are united under His authority, their love becomes a ministry, their home becomes an altar, their union becomes a testimony. And that is why the enemy fights it so fiercely. He fears what your unity will accomplish. He fears the generational blessing that will flow from your obedience. He fears the peace that will radiate from your covenant. But hear this boldly: what God ordains, no weapon formed against it shall prosper. The battle you faced was not proof of defeat, it was evidence of significance. If it was insignificant, it would not have been attacked so intensely. My beloved soul, stay steady in this sacred truth. You were chosen for a love that reflects heaven's faithfulness. And even if the person you imagined is not the final partner, the promise itself still stands. God will not deny you what aligns with His will. He may redirect, but He will not retract. He may refine, but He will not revoke. And as you sit with this word, feel the heaviness lifting. Feel the fear dissolving. Feel the quiet confidence returning. The story is not over. The author has not put down his pen. He is still writing. He is still aligning. He is still preparing. And when the next chapter unfolds, it will not feel forced, it will feel ordained. It will not feel chaotic, it will feel covered. It will not feel uncertain, it will feel sealed with peace. My beloved soul, receive this final stirring for this moment. What you have been praying for is closer than it appears. The silence is thinning. The distance is narrowing. The breakthrough is forming beneath the surface. Continue to pray. Continue to trust. Continue to guard your heart without closing it. Because true love stories authored by God never have an ending, they transition from waiting to fulfillment, from tears to testimony, from longing to legacy. And when your story is fully revealed, it will testify that God never wastes pain, never forgets promises, and never abandons what He begins. Rest now in that certainty. Hope boldly in that assurance. Expect faithfully in that promise. The love written by God over your life is eternal in its design, unstoppable in its purpose, and nearer than you dare to believe. My beloved soul, as this sacred message comes to its resting place, let your heart settle into divine expectation. What you prayed for is not lost in the wind, it is moving in the Spirit. Heaven is aligning what earth cannot yet see. Do not fear the quiet, do not question the process, do not surrender to doubt. The author of your love story is faithful. What He promised will stand. What He ordained will manifest. And when it does, you will know without hesitation that true love stories authored by God never have an ending, they unfold into everlasting peace. Type Amen.